Thank you, Carl. Good morning, everybody. And can I just add my congratulations to Dave? What a fantastic story that is for Shrewsbury and Shropshire, carrying our name around the world. I've got 15 minutes. This is not death by PowerPoint. This is an informed slide deck of information, just to kind of wake you up and people who know me know that I kind of like this sort of stuff. But I thought it was quite important just to kind of take you through some of the background, because I think there's reason for you to take some confidence from what you'll see. We went into the pandemic as an economy harder than faster than most people in the East and West Midlands. In the face of the beginning of the pandemic, Shropshire Job Centres were second across the East and West Midlands for the increase in people in unemployment. And what I'm going to show you in a minute is just how well we've recovered for that position. But that shows you, that slide, in terms of that peak, you've got to go back almost 30 years to when we saw unemployment at towards 10,000 people in Shropshire. We went in at about 4,065, and we more than doubled at that time. Interestingly, in terms of that rate of unemployment versus the rest of the West Midlands and the UK, what I've just shown in the bottom right there is the gap going into the pandemic between us and the West Midlands is that first set, but look at it now. We've recovered faster, you've recovered faster than both the national average and the rest of the West Midlands. And when I look at tables that we're part of in terms of the Shropshire economy versus that wider region, we're now at the bottom of the table in terms of unemployment at about 2.5%. So, well done everybody who's played a part in that. But that's a really interesting story, isn't it? And of course, it's a reflection of the makeup of our economy, but without the confidence of business to carry on doing, believing in what it's doing and move forward, that kind of statistic wouldn't be there. Just to show you some jobs kind of information, that's the makeup of the Shropshire economy by employment class, if you can see it. We have some green areas that stand out really well. That actually we've grown more jobs from 2020 to 2021. I'll get information at the end of this year on 2022 as well. And some areas that kind of stand out there, you can see a significant increase. We probably recognise over on the far right something to do with health and care, for example. But we lost some jobs in some sectors too. Things like construction and manufacturing. Now that starts to speak to where intervention need to be. So, where do we need to think about investing and growing in skills? Where actually is there a decline or people feeling real pressure? Remember, Brexit kicked in through the pandemic as well, so that's in these figures somewhere too. So these kind of things are giving us pointers to where we and a kind of fellow supporters of the Shropshire economy, like the Marches LEP and like other partnerships, can put our effort. So on the whole, we did well. But this is a fascinating kind of slide. So in terms of quarter-on-quarter productivity change, going back to 1959, it was pretty well a flat line. Look at what the pandemic meant. You've never seen a figure quite like that. But look at where we are now. We're back on it. We're back into that kind of cycle of productivity that you produce in terms of GDP activity that we were before. So we're starting to see some real indicators coming through here that are giving us confidence. This one's a bit of a worry. You've heard things about ageing demographics and the older population in Shropshire. We're about 26-ish% people aged over 65 at the moment. By 2030, that'll be about 33%. We lost about 8,500 people in the workforce in that first year of the pandemic. That's broadly about 5% of our workforce. So in terms of what we're hearing from lots of people is there are real recruitment pressures out there at the moment. And I'm seeing a few nods around the room. There's some evidence here that, part of it is the ageing population, is part of it to do with Brexit too. There are people like Ed Garrett in the room from the NFU, and I know Ed's got pressures. I know people in hospitality have had pressures through the lack of access to kind of, migrant workers in the way that we used to see it. We're seeing this come through in these kind of figures. In terms of top posted jobs, we've got some information by titles there that show particularly the world of health and care are really under stress. They just cannot get the people that sector needs. But also, if you look in there, we've got production operatives, warehouse operatives, if I flip on to the next slide, you'll see kind of a range of other science and technology kind of roles too. So by volume, if you look at that column that says total usage and volume, care workers, nurses, those kind of skills, absolutely like hen's teeth. So there's a really big focus in here on what we're trying to do to support that part of our sector. It's a big part of our economy. We talk about care in the sense of people think about care, but actually it's a big economic kind of activity for us too. So there's an interesting kind of thing there about what can we do and how can we work with skills providers, and some of them are in the room as well, to kind of try and match that pipeline of talent to what the Shropshire economy needs. So just this is the reassurance to you that that kind of conversation is going on in the background. And we're tracking this kind of information, and you can see the sort of volumes that we're looking at. For all of the people in the room that associate themselves as females, when you look at that table, which is earnings, there is only one part of the Shropshire economy that outperforms the region and the national average, and that's females in full-time occupations. They earn more than the national average and the regional average. The rest of the Shropshire economy is what you'd think of as a low-wage economy. Now, I'm sure females in the room wouldn't say that they're particularly well paid, but we've got an issue here in terms of lifting the value of jobs that we've got. I'll talk a little bit about more in a minute, because there's a range of things that kind of feed into our economy, which I think are helpful here. Now, Tim Yao is going to talk to you all about energy, and I know I'm just the warm-up act for all of you to kind of understand how you're going to save millions in energy costs. But this is a survey that's come from the Office for National Statistics from businesses looking at November and saying, what are the pressures that business are reporting? You'll recognise all of those. So, that sense of, going somewhere and not learning something, hopefully you'll go away and think, well, actually, I'm in touch with everybody else. They're the kind of pressures that we're looking at too. Now, a range of things also that I think are really important here in terms of information from National Statistics, in terms of total job adverts from before the pandemic to where we are now, there are more adverts for jobs now than there were before we went in the pandemic. There are less people being made redundant. There are less employers considering redundancy. We are seeing an increase in company creation, and of course, voluntary insolvencies kind of follow that pattern, but we're seeing stability and we're seeing growth. Now, in the middle of all the turmoil that we've had over the last few months politically, it's really interesting to know that actually business had just been getting on with business. And I think it's important to kind of understand that actually, despite what you hear from the national media, actually, UK business is moving forward. Now, you'll hear the BBC talk about 0.2% GDP growth, but actually these kind of indicators are really important because that gives us the underlying kind of trend. One of the last ones here, which just measures through CHAPS payments, debit and credit card kind of stuff. I thought, by the way, we can make all this available to you afterwards. There's only one area of kind of activity in CHAPS-related kind of activity that is below it was in pre-pandemic, and that's what you call delayable purchases. That's your carpet, your fridge, that kind of stuff. Every other source of activity in the economy is at a higher level than it was pre-pandemic. So people are spending. One of the things that we've seen, and Kevin Lockwood's here who manages Darwin Centre, is even though we did really well through the pandemic in terms of footfall in many of our retail centres, and particularly in Shrewsbury, actually, even though we're down about 15% at the moment, Kevin, basket spend is up. So the people that are there are spending more money. So there's an interesting bit here about what does that mean in terms of kind of sentiment within the economy and how's that shift happening. It's just, I think, also important for you to know that we're looking at this kind of stuff. Coming to a close, because I'm really just trying to set a scene, this is a fascinating indicator in terms of, that phrase, that work is what we do, it's not a place. And that shift that the pandemic brought about to let people work more agile and work more from home. The Estates Gazette is the go-to property journal in the UK for property professionals. Its Property Insight was, and this is a lift from their magazine, that in quarters 1 and 2 in 2020, Shropshire saw the biggest increase in commercial property inquiries in the whole of the UK. Now that's a fascinating fascinating kind of thing to reflect on when you think about commercial property in Shropshire and what our market is and what it has been. And what that gives you is an insight in terms of the demand that's starting to come our way, because people recognising there's an opportunity to make the most of that, as that says, work local, shop local, quality of life type offer that we've got. So I think a lot of confidence there, we can take about where we're looking to position Shropshire in the future economy. I said I'd mention that low wage bit, and this is one of the things that's a perennial challenge for us. What that bar shows you on the left, the black bar, is the UK national average for GDP, and the Shropshire economy is over where I've got that red arrow. That gap is about 1.6 billion per annum. So if we could get wage levels and productivity up, we're looking at an injection in our economy of well over £1 billion. So that's just an interesting kind of thought in terms of what sectors do we want to see grow, and how can we encourage them? How do we help business kind of grow its market penetration, its value, and all the rest of it? Because better paid jobs make such a difference to everything else that we're trying to do collectively as a society. So in that, we've kind of got a series of priorities within Shropshire Council, a range of healthies that are part of our new Shropshire plan. Healthy economy is one of the key ones. Those of you that remember the Bill Clinton campaign motto, it's the economy stupid. If you you give people money to afford decent housing, they put decent food on their plates, it takes away so many of those other social pressures that we've got. So we kind of get that systematic impact that the economy has. And we'll talk about it later, and Hayley Owen's going to talk about this. This is all feeding into the new Shropshire economic growth strategy that we're looking to bring forward. That's me. Thank you very much.